Today, I'd like to talk about a game I've been recently playing a lot. It's called Risk of Rain 2. It's not the most popular game, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard of it. Um, the game is just it's like a very video game type of game. Now, that doesn't make much sense, but the point is, like, the only appeal of it really is the gameplay. That's it. There are things that maybe you might be able to find out about the lore and things like that, but you're mainly playing it for the addictive nature of the gameplay. And good lord, is it addicting. It is a roguelike. So it's one of those types of games where you just kind of you start a run, as they call it, and you keep going until you die. And along the way, you'll get loot and fight tougher enemies, and you just try to keep going until you just can't go anymore, and then you die, and then you do it again. And the whole idea of those types of games is that once you finish a run or once you die, um, you're gonna want to keep going again and again. And this game does it better than any of the other roguelites I've ever played. Um, I think Hades in general might be a better game as a complete package because you get the story, the writing, the great gameplay, and all that. But Risk of Rain 2, I've come back to much more. And I keep coming back to it because the gameplay variety, there's much more than Hades. And Hades, once you beat the main story, you can still go and it's still fun. You can keep doing harder runs, it's fun. But Risk of Rain 2 just does it, I think, much better. Um, so, speaking of the gameplay differs depending on the class you pick. But the general idea of it is you start a run, you'll end up on one. You'll end up on a level. It's randomized to an extent. There's like four stages, and each stage can be two different levels. So you'll land on a level. You'll start running around looking for gold through item capsules or killing enemies, and you'll use that gold to pick up chests, which gives you loot, which gives you buffs. And the buffs are one of the best parts about any roguelike and what makes a roguelike truly great. And the buffs you can get here is really cool. I'll talk about that later, but first I want to mention the first class you're going to start out with when you get the game is the Commando class. He's pretty basic. He's got a machine gun, a roll, a laser shot, and like a rapid fire thing almost. A rapid fire shot that can stun enemies. He's fine. I found him to be a little boring and a little underwhelming, to be honest. He feels weaker compared to the other classes. I didn't really like him that as much. But soon after you play the game, you'll get the next class, who I do really like a lot, is the Huntress. And she's really cool. She has sort of like an auto fire projectile where you just hold R2. I'm on PS4, so for us, for people on consoles, just hold one of the trigger buttons, and she automatically fires at enemies that you're aiming at in her range. So that's pretty good. But she's a lot faster and deals more damage. Much more damage than the Commando. The Commando, again, feels underwhelming. I don't know why. I feel like he needs a buff. But the Huntress, I thought felt great, and she felt strong, and she has a great skill in I don't know what it is, but it's the L1 skill where she can do like a little teleport dash. It can be used to get you out of trouble, or it can be used to like skip, small shortcuts and whatnot, or try to get into a more advantageous position when fighting. So that's good. And her skill is like she jumps up in the air and literally fires like a rain of arrows. I found it not very good because enemies don't tend to stand still for very long. Some bosses do, but most enemies are moving towards you, and you're probably playing away from them, so they're going to be moving towards you. And when you fire this rain of arrows, it does decent damage if you get the enemies to stay in for a while. But other than that, I didn't find much use for it. But she's just really fast, really mobile, great. I don't remember all the classes, so I'm just gonna name the ones I enjoy, ones I remember, the ones I enjoy the most. There's the Loader, which might be my favorite class to play. The Loader is so damn fun. It's like a tank-ish character who can only punch. Doesn't have any guns or anything, but the ability is what makes the Loader so damn fun. The dash punch is great. It does a shit ton of damage, and not only can it be used to deal a lot of damage, you can use it to weave in and out of combat, which is the best part. You could dash punch, because usually enemies will kind of group up in a way. So what you can do is dash punch across a whole field of enemies, and then jump back a bit, wait for the cooldown to go off, and then dash punch through back again. And you do a crap ton of damage while you're doing it, and it just feels really great. But on top of that, he also or she also has the grappling hook, which can be used to just either quickly get to a point or swing across ledges, or yeah, just another great mobility option for this tank like character. And I really like how they balance her around this, because like, again, she's pretty much full melee. So to balance that, they're like, okay, let's give her some great mobility options so the player can really be creative with how they're moving around and how effective they use her. She also has another thing that can help with long range foes. Since she can only punch and dash punch, she has trouble taking out a lot of the ranged foes at once. So she has I don't know what it's called, but a little electro zappy robot that she can fire at, and it just zaps targets close to her. So yeah, the loader's pretty great. Big fan. There's the mercenary class, which I just unlocked, a day or two ago. Similar to the loader, he's melee. This one's also melee only, but this one has like a really cool like katana sword, so he has a bit more range than the loader. And every third strike puts a little mark on the enemy, where if you hit them again, it'll proc. I don't know, like a damage. It'll just make your next move do more damage to him, pretty much. It'll proc something. And he has a horizontal slash ability that becomes a vertical slash in the air, which can also be sort of used as the third jump. And he also comes with the passive having 2 jumps at the start, which is great. Having more jumps and movement speed in general in this game is fantastic. So that's a nice buff, or that's a nice thing to have. His other ability is probably the most useful ability he has. It's like this invincible dash where he sort of goes, he turns invincible and then targets like an enemy or a group of enemies, and then just fucking does a master EQ on them all over, and he's invincible during it completely and can proc, various on-hit effects. And it's just incredibly useful. He's just, and it's also can be used to escape certain bad situations or save your ass if you're about to die. So, really good. I think that was all his abilities. I might be missing one. Oh, yeah, he does have a dash. Similar to characters in other games, it's a dash where if you hit someone, you can do it again up to 3 times. Honestly, it doesn't do that much damage. It's only 1 hit, and I see it more of as a mobility option, or I use it more like a mobility instead of a damaging one. Sometimes it's nice to pick off some of the flying range guys or flying range enemies with 3 dashes. So it's useful for that. But in the later stages, when there's just so many enemies, it's actually really risky to just dash at them, especially when you have your invincible dash that you can just use instead. So it's more of a way to escape. Yeah, I just got him, so I've been trying him. He's really fun too. I don't know if he's very good though, but he's good. There's also the I don't know what it was called, the artifice philosopher professor. I don't know. It uses magic. Didn't use that character much. She seemed kind of boring. There's like an engineer character. Again, not really what I want in this game. I like using like an engineer style class, like the engineer in TF2 or Torbjorn in Overwatch, but in this game, I feel like the more I can move, the better. And I don't know. The engineer class really isn't for me. Who else? Oh, there's the poison. I think his name is Astrid. Astrid? Whatever. It's the poison lizard character you can get. At first I thought I wouldn't like him, but once I actually gave him a shot, he's actually quite fun. His dash jump ability is very useful. You gain a burst of speed and you jump not high, but pretty far horizontally. It also hits, if it lands on an enemy, it stuns them, so that's great. He's got poison, which is great, so he can kind of play the far away game, because he can just spit poison. So he's melee only too, but you don't really have to play him melee. You can just spit poison at people, and then, since I guess in this game they decided that poison shouldn't kill enemies, which I really wish it should. But maybe it would be too broken if it did. Then you could just stay back and spit poison all day, and it wouldn't matter. But point is, once you spit poison at them, you'd have to go in and get like the final melee attack, or leap dash on them or something. Or maybe if you got an item that caused them to bleed or burn or something like that, that could kill them too. Or you have a drone or things like that that could also kill him. But overall, he's really great. Probably my second favorite. And then the last class, who I haven't been playing as much recently, but I did play a lot when I got him, was the Captain. Now that's a really cool character design. He's got a shotgun that if you hold it, becomes like a sniper. It sort of like narrows all the bullets down so it targets only one way. But up close, it's just a regular like scatter shotgun. He's got a little drone buddy that helps him out sometimes. He can place two sort of helpful terminals, I guess you'd call them, down. One that like shocks enemies nearby and one that heals you. So he's a more stationary playstyle. That's probably why I stopped playing him as much, because I realized that I like moving around as much as possible. And I played the characters that let me do that. But yeah, he's pretty good. Overall, the roster's great. I feel like there's a character for everyone. Even though I think it's only like 12 characters total, but they're all so different and unique that I'm sure anyone could find someone they like. And if you don't like the character at first, what makes this game great is the loot. I mentioned earlier, but the loot is so cool. Especially how they place it in the actual game itself. So most of the time you'll get loot from either chest, or once you complete a stage and beat the boss, you will get a loot drop. Sometimes you'll get rare loot. Sometimes you'll get loot that increases your movement speed, or gives you an extra jump, or gives you bleed, or more attack speed, or things like that. And the point is, what's cool is some loot's better for some characters than others. So for someone like the Commando, right, he has a machine gun, so you probably want more attack speed. More attack speed, and then you probably want bleed, because bleed can stack on every hit. So he has a machine gun, so naturally he's going to be hitting the enemies a lot. So bleed is great to have. But for someone like the Loader, for example, who has to get kind of close to do real damage, you would probably want something like the Focus Crystal, which again just buffs damage up close. So that would be good for the Loader or the Mercenary, or even the Poison Lizard guy I was talking about. So that would be really great. Then there's like some general useful items for everyone. I forget what it's called. I thought it was called Infusion. But what it does is give you a permanent... it gives you 1 permanent HP every time you kill an enemy, up to 100. So again, that's useful on everyone. You'll be killing a lot of enemies anyway. There's a whip that makes you move fast out of combat, which is great, right? Because in this game, time is important, because the longer you're in a run, the harder the game gets. So what's kind of cool about it is that you have to sort of manage your time. Like, okay, how long do I want to stay on this stage? Or how do I want to route this stage, rather? It's like, should I go this way and see if I find items? If I can't find any items or chests here, I'll go another way. I found that aspect of the game really engaging, is how I routed each stage based on how much time is left, or what the difficulty's at currently. Because it starts from like easy, medium to hard, and then it gets like crazy, like no way, impossible, things like that. So I found that aspect of the game pretty cool. But there's also these item exchange, which can be it can make or break a run depending on who you are. So let's say you have a bunch of like defensive items for like the Huntress, right? Huntress doesn't really need defensive items. If she gets hit, she'll probably just die in 1 or 2 hits, especially in the later stages. You don't really need defensive items. They are helpful, but if you could find an item exchange, which what it does, it shows you what item it has, and it lets you exchange your items for like an infinite amount, technically, of what you need. So if you see the Soldier's Syringe in an item exchange like box, that means you can exchange whatever items you have for however many Soldier Syringes you want, and those increase your attack speed. So the more you get, the higher your attack speed, and you're just gonna be doing a shit ton of damage. And that's probably the best power up on her, or on most care. Most care would benefit from more attack speed, just some more than other. But I find that idea really cool. I mean, the item exchange can give you like shit sometimes. Sometimes you'll find ones that make you sprint faster or make you run faster, and you can like do that for like a sort of like a meme run where you just buy a crap ton of the it's called like, I think it's like the sprint can or something. You can buy like 30 of those and you'll be sprinting across the entire stage. You'll jump from one end of the stage to the other, and it's really fun just to test with and toy with. Um, so yeah, that's really cool too. So in general, the loot you get is fantastic. I don't want to say it all, every item here, but a lot of them are really great. Some of them not so much, but most of them are great. And what's cool is sometimes you'll get like red items. There'll be items with like a red glow about them, and they're like, again, they won't make or break a run. They will start like a great run depending on what item you get. Um, but yeah, those are like rare finds. So it's pretty exciting once you get one because you're like, oh shit, it's time. It's time. But yeah, those are great. There's also these lunar items. I just call them blue items because they have a blue glow about them. But they're sort of like a double-edged sword kind of thing. I remember I got one. It's like, okay, you do double damage now, but you have half health, which really sucks. I don't think that one's very good. Maybe if I'm the huntress and I'm playing really smart, then I could get away with it. But I don't really like the one. There's also another one where they give you gold just by hitting enemies, but if you get hit by enemies, then you lose gold. That one might be worth it because I think I had that for one run, and overall I think I made more than I lost. But yeah, again, an interesting choice. Like if you're playing a run and it's not going so well, maybe you'll get a blue item that could come in really clutch. It could be like the positive it has is, outweighs the negative it gives you too. But yeah, overall the loot is great, and one of the reasons I keep coming back and doing constant runs is because of the interesting loot and how it changes up the runs. But what all holds it all together, I think, is the level designs. The level designs are incredibly cool and unique, and I'm just saying words that describe level design. I'm not actually talking about, so now I'm going to talk about it. But the point is, it gives you a lot of area to move around, especially if you're certain classes like the loader. So you can grappling hook certain areas, you can dash punch all over the place, or you can jump on certain ledges and jump off certain places. And there's secrets in all of them. That was one thing I found out throughout playing the game. If you take your time to look a bit, let's say you're not even doing a run, you just take time to explore the level, you'll find secrets all over, like hidden chests or even like hidden characters. A couple of the characters you need to get in the game are like sort of hidden, quote unquote hidden, or you have to fulfill a specific requirement to get them. I won't lie. Two of them I had to look up on the internet to get, but most of them I found it on my own. It was pretty exciting once I did. Sometimes usually when you beat a stage, a portal, or you'll automatically be transferred to the next stage. But sometimes a blue portal will open, and that leads you to this like unique, I don't even know, this blue realm, I guess, where you can exchange your items for blue items or red items, or you could, there's a character in there where if you have enough lunar rings, which get randomly dropped from enemies, you can free a character. But if you also, in that area, if you fall down, there's also what's called the Void. Now, the Void is it's a fun secret I found on my like second run through. But the Void is like this empty, dark zone where if you're not in a safe space, it hurts you. It deals constant damage to you. But you have to go through many trials of like defeating enemies and just making it out. And every time you defeat a group of enemies, you get an item. And I think you keep doing that like 7, 8 trials, and then you eventually escape and go on to the next stage. But the fact that even exists at all, I thought was really cool. And there's a bunch of more secrets like that in the game. Interesting challenges, or there's this thing that's really cool that I just found out about, is that there's these statues with the blue claw marking above them, where if you activate them, the stage boss fight, there'll be double them. So, or triple, depending on how many of the blue claw statues you activate. And what's cool is that if you beat all 3 of them, or 2 of them, or whatever, you'll get as many items as the bosses you defeated. So if you got 2 bosses, you'll get 2 items. I never knew that, so I've been using that more in my runs because the more items you get, the quicker the items you get. Right, the more items you get, the better, with the least amount of time, of course. I will say that there are runs where you just won't get shit, and that's just how these games go. Sometimes you just won't get anything. You'll get a bunch of defensive crap for like an offensive class, or you'll get like range things that would help you range wise for like a melee class. It happens, you know. That's just the nature of the game, or these types of games in general. But going back to the level design, I know I ignored it for a while, but going back to it, um, they just look really cool. I don't know how else to say. They they have a unique vibe. Each one has a unique vibe to it, and that's mainly due to the music that's played in each one. But I'll get to that later. But the point is, that you have a lot of room to move around. There's a lot of routes you can take when exploring each stage. Um, Except the final, there's sort of like a quote unquote final boss level, right? So once you beat 4 stages, you are given the option to either redo those 4 stages, except with more enemies, and just harder in general, or you can go straight to quote unquote the final boss, and it plays on a unique level that's more straightforward, but still has the openness of the other stages. It is it's hard to describe, but it's one of the more unique levels I've ever seen in a game. Just the architecture and how you can move across it, and just the general vibe to it is totally different from the other stages. But I really don't know how to describe it. I felt like it was like randomly put together. Like they had a bunch of different architect ideas and it was just randomly mashed together, and it just works really well. I don't know how. Yeah, that's just it. It just works really well, and the final boss himself is quite the challenge. I've only beat him like a couple times. He's notably more harder with melee characters because they have to get in close to him, and that's where he's most effective. And he has one shot me when I'm the loader like a few times now, and that's not fun. When you have a good run going, then you just get one shot by the boss. Kind of sucks. But yeah, really cool level. But going back, I mentioned the music before. The music is crazy good. I don't know who does the guitar, but that man is amazing. And I like how the intensity of the music gets greater with each stage you pass. So the first and second stage, most of the time it's just atmospheric background music, and that's fine. It works great for that. By the time you get to the third and fourth stages, the guitar starts kicking in. It just the whole thing blasting in your ears, and it just enhances the game so much more. It makes everything even more chaotic. But and then the final boss level itself is fantastic too. It really makes you feel like, oh, this is it. This is the final boss. This is it. It's very powerful music. It really like gave me goosebumps at some point. It's great. That's really all I gotta say. There is like a lore or story. I know there's lore or story about, but it's not really a focus at all when I'm playing it. So I don't really have much to say on it. I mean, it's cool. I mean, the things I can piece together seem interesting. Like the final boss level takes place on the moon for some reason. I don't know why it takes place on the moon, but that's probably why it looks so different than the other levels. So I'm not against it or anything, but it's really cool though. So yeah, in general, I just want to make a short video of some thoughts I had about Risk of Rain 2. Well, I guess it's not going to be short, but just me rambling, just about how great this game is. Maybe if you saw it, didn't think it would interest you, maybe you should give it a shot. The multiplayer is great too. I play the multi; it's fantastic. You get items at a much faster rate. I think I prefer single player though because I feel it's more. I feel like I earned if I have a really good run going, I feel like it was because of me. It was because of me on a single player. It's just me who earned that run, who has all those items and everything. But a multiplayer, you can kind of just not be very good. Because I did a multiplayer run like the day I got the game, and mind you, I didn't know anything about the game, and we got like pretty far into it, like at least an hour into it before I had to leave because I was surprised it took that long. But the point is, you get items at a much quicker rate, so you get overpowered much quicker, and it's fun if you need like a. I guess it's just I don't prefer it that way. I prefer like the slow build up into becoming like a powerhouse, or a god, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, multiplayer is great too. But yeah, overall, great game, and I highly recommend it. Okay, thank you for listening.